Let's bring on our Turning Point White House correspondent, Monica Paige, at the White House. A lot going on. It's been a while since we've caught up with Monica because of so many different things, the fantastic events going around, including JD Vance yesterday, which all of you saw.
Mhm.
Also got to talk to Monica Paige. But before we get to that, Monica, first of all, thanks for joining us. How you been?
Thanks so much. It's a beautiful day. I've been great. And by the way, I did see JD Vance's remarks at Ole Miss. He did a fantastic job. Watch the entire thing. And if you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend watching it because it's fantastic.
Yeah, him and Erica were just fantastic there in front of a
Mhm.
sold out arena, which I'm sure, unfortunately, not everybody was able to get in. But I guess that's the biggest problem you have. It's not the worst thing to have. Monica, the president is overseas. He met with Xi Jinping earlier today, among many other world leaders over there in Asia. What's the update from the president on what uh, his initiatives with when it comes to specifically China, but also with the rest of the Asian world?
Well, the president actually just returned back this afternoon. So he's back here at the White House. It was a very long trip, hitting on Malaysia, Japan, South Korea, and ultimately meeting with China's President Xi Jinping. But there's a lot to get to, so bear with me here. So when he was in Malaysia, his very first stop, he officially signed that historic peace deal agreement between Cambodia and Thailand. He also signed very historic trade deals between Malaysia and Cambodia as well. He helped establish a trade framework between Thailand and Vietnam, and also when it came to critical minerals, which kind of was like an underlying theme during this Asia trip, was critical minerals, these rare earth minerals and these rare earth materials that actually we use a lot of in iPhones, laptops, and even our military equipment. So that was kind of an underlying theme aside from trade, tariffs, and obviously bolstering relations. So a critical minerals deal with Thailand was also secured. His second stop was in Japan, of course, bolstering that relationship with Japan's new prime minister. Of course, they welcomed him with open arms. I'm sure you've seen plenty of clips on social media about that. She's going to gift Washington, D.C. 250 cherry trees. And of course, our fireworks here in Washington, D.C. will be from Japan as kind of an homage to the country and our relationship with it. And also, the president established a framework to accelerate development of markets for these critical minerals and rare earths. Like I mentioned, they're kind of a big deal. And, many people don't really know how important they are in the development of many of our equipment, whether it's our iPhones, laptops, military equipment, and of course, China has been trying to compete with the United States when it comes to these rare earth materials as well. So trying to make sure that we have an alliance where we're not reliant on China, but also we can work together with the United States and our allies, and making sure we can kind of curb China's sort of influence and threat here. But the president returned back to the White House with $900 billion in investments between Japan and South Korea. Now, these investments will support our infrastructure here in the United States. They will be constructing nuclear facilities. They're also going to help shipbuilding, data centers. These will all create jobs. When it came to the president's meeting with Xi Jinping, apparently China agreed to buy more soybeans from the United States, which is great. And of course, lowering tariffs on China because apparently they have been curbing the flow of fentanyl over the past few months. I know the president has been very adamant on China stopping the flow of fentanyl into the United States. So if the president said, hey, listen, if you curb the flow of fentanyl, we'll lower your tariffs. So I believe he lowered the tariffs for China. They've been, I guess, been working out some kind of partnership with the United States. And you did hear from the president saying, on a scale of 1 to 10, that meeting with Xi Jinping, it was a 12. So all good things. Very successful trip, especially that $900 billion investment deal. And yeah, we'll see what happens in the future, especially when it comes to China keeping up with its promises. We'll keep an eye on that.
Monica, viewers might have noticed my state of confusion when you're talking about all,
It's a
all of
lot.
those sounded pretty good for the American people. I've been told by Governor Newsom, among many other people, that President Trump is hated by all the world leaders and everyone laughs behind his back and he's going to start World War III. That for some reason does not align with all of the things that you're saying. So, Monica, you may want to check your facts there because that just the mainstream would never lie to anyone. So that you have to be wrong. Speaking of
Somewhere in
people,
there, fact checked me.
speaking of people who are wrong, the libs continue to shut down the government. For the longest time, I didn't notice, and I don't think anyone did. At this point in time, yeah, people are going to start missing paychecks. Government employees are starting to miss paychecks, including some of the critical ones. You actually got to ask the Vice President of the United States, a friend of Turning Point, obviously spoke at last night's event, a question about whether or not travel is going to be impacted, especially around the Thanksgiving holiday. I want to play that clip from you, and then get some thoughts after the Vice President speaks.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I'm Monica Paige with Frontlines Turning Point USA. On the government shutdown, of course, we're approaching Thanksgiving, we're approaching the holidays. What could travel look like, if the Democrats don't open the government in time?
So I'm going to let our great Secretary of Transportation answer this question. Look, it could be a disaster. It really could be. Because at that point, you're talking about people have missed 3 paychecks. They've missed 4 paychecks. How many of them are not going to show up for work? You take the TSA lines that are already too long, even right now, and say half of those people don't show up for work, not because they're not hard workers or good people, but because they've got to find a different job to feed their families. What happens when the security lines are not an hour long, but they're 4 hours long? What happens when pilots start not showing up for work because they're so focused on paying the bills, they can't fly the plane safely? That's going to lead to massive delays. We want people to be able to get home for Thanksgiving. We want people to be able to travel for business, to make this entire engine of commerce work. We want the aviation industry to work. It's not going to work unless the Democrats reopen the government.
Monica, that I've been told, and we're going to do a segment on this show a little bit later. Yeah, it's the Republicans have both houses and the White House. Why is first of all, I guess I'm answering my own question is because they failed civics and don't quite understand that you do need buy-in from the other side. But what did the Vice President's answer there say to you? Obviously, he's talking about the kind of the tangible specifics behind this, but broadly speaking, how much does it feel like this administration wants to get the government open and just can't seem to find any help from our lib friends on the other side of the aisle?
Yeah, I mean, not just from the answer to my question, but when I'm hearing, his opening remarks in general and answering some of my other colleagues' questions as well, he's very serious about this. I mean, this
Hmm.
is a big deal. And you didn't just hear from the vice president, you heard from obviously Transportation Secretary Duffy as well, and other members of his team that just met behind closed doors this afternoon. They're very serious about this. The Democrats need to come to the table and negotiate. They need to talk. The JD Vance compared them to like little kids. They're throwing fits when it's their fault. They need to vote on this. They voted to shut down the government, what, 12, 13 times? We're heading into a very busy season, and it's not just Thanksgiving travel. Obviously, parents have children that come back from college or they're going to visit or whatever it may be. And the fact that the travel plans could get this messy should be ringing alarms and red alarms all across the country. I mean, this is a very big deal. This could be even worse than any of us could even imagine. I mean, because you're not just talking about the pilots and those who keep us safe, but just everyday Americans just trying to live their lives and now they can't because of the Democrats. And then these people that are Democrats, they will keep voting for Democrats. They will keep voting for this and keep blaming Republicans. So it's like I really hope people open their eyes and realize that this is the Democrat shutdown. They can fix this, Jobob.
I do want to throw in the one point, though. They are standing on firm grounds. The American people overwhelmingly want to give their tax dollars to help fund healthcare for illegal immigrants. Of course, everybody knows that, and that is clear across the board. Everybody wants that, but that is the hill they've chosen to die on. Monica, briefly, there's been some fun at the White House, given the fact that it's Halloween. My question to you, and this is very serious, as your journalistic integrity is on the line here. Are any of the children this year going to the White House on the menu as they have been previously in the past administration?
Well, I think everyone can mark their children as safe this year. There will be no nibbling on children like there was last year. It was very, very weird. I compiled a whole bunch of photos that I found online from last Halloween, and that is what we saw last Halloween. Joe Biden kind of nibbling on little chicken legs and little kids' feet. Very strange. But everyone's kids will be safe this year. The president and the first lady will put on a beautiful trick-or-treating spectacular this evening. So everyone, you don't need to worry about your children. They are in good hands.
That is good. And also, I'm being told that Joe Biden dressed up as the president the last couple of years. That's a bizarre thing to me. Might as well dress up as an auto pen. Probably be the same thing. Monica Paige, hope you have a fantastic Halloween. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.
Thanks so much, you guys. Have a great Halloween.
Thank you.